If you enjoy any of these stories, please leave a like so the algorithm can share this to more like us, and subscribe for more stories like this, if you dare.
The 24-hour Walgreens that shouldn't exist. The GPS kept insisting I'd arrived, but all I could see was an empty lot full of dead grass and broken concrete. Shit. I checked my phone again. 2:47 a.m. My shift at the distribution center started at 4, and I desperately needed caffeine. This was supposed to be the only 24-hour Walgreens between here and Rockford. Then I saw it. A flicker of neon through the trees. The Walgreens sat about 50 yards back from where the GPS marked it, half hidden behind a row of dying oaks. The parking lot was cracked like a broken mirror, weeds pushing through every seam. But that familiar red glow beckoned. 24 hours. I should have kept driving. The automatic doors wheezed open, and I was hit by that distinct Walgreens smell. Cleaning products mixed with chemicals and something else, something sweet and rotten, like fruit left too long in the sun. "Welcome to Walgreens," came a voice from somewhere near the pharmacy. Flat, mechanical, like someone reading a script they'd memorized 20 years ago. The fluorescent lights hummed at a frequency that made my teeth ache. Half of them were out, creating pools of shadow between the aisles. My van squeaked against the yellowed linoleum. When was the last time they'd updated this place? The floor pattern looked straight out of 1987. I grabbed a Monster from the cooler. The expiration date was smudged, but the can was cold. Good enough. That's when I noticed the music. You know how Walgreens always plays that soft rock bullshit? This was playing Every Breath You Take by the Police, but it was wrong. Slowed down just enough to make Sting sound drunk or dying. Every breath you take, every move you make. I headed toward the registers, passing the photo department. The Kodak sign flickered, and through the service window, I could see hundreds of unclaimed photos scattered across the counter. Vacation pics, birthday parties, all faded and curling at the edges. One caught my eye. A family of 4 at a picnic. They were all looking at the camera, except the little girl. She was looking at something off to the side, her mouth open in what might have been a scream. Finding everything okay? I jumped. The pharmacist, at least that's what I assumed he was, stood right fucking behind me. White coat, name tag too faded to read. His face was normal, I guess, but his eyes were all wrong. Pupils too big, like he'd been sampling from the pharmacy. "Just the energy drink," I said, backing toward the register. He smiled. Too many teeth. "You sure? We're having a special on sleep aids. Aisle 7. "I'm good." The cashier was a woman who might have been 30 or 70. Impossible to tell under the harsh lights. Her name tag said, "Brenda, serving you since 1978. She scanned my Monster without looking at it, or me. Her eyes were fixed on something over my shoulder. "That'll be $3.49, she said. Then quieter, "You should leave." What? $3.49. she repeated, louder. Her hand shook as she took my 5. That's when I heard it. Footsteps in the vitamin aisle. Slow. Shuffling. Like someone dragging a bad leg. Or something. I glanced over. A shadow moved between the shelves, too tall to be human. The overhead light flickered and went out completely. Keep your receipt, Brenda whispered, pressing the change into my palm. Her fingers were ice cold. You'll need it. Need it for what? But she was already looking past me again, that 1,000-yard stare returning. The shuffling got closer. I grabbed my drink and headed for the exit. Fast walk, not quite a run. Don't look back. Never look back. The automatic doors didn't open. Fuck, fuck, fuck. I waved my arms, jumped up and down. Nothing. The sensors were dead. Behind me, that shuffling sound reached the end of the vitamin aisle. A smell hit me. Formaldehyde mixed with something sweet. That same rotting fruit smell from when I'd walked in, but stronger. Sir? The pharmacist appeared beside me again. Jesus Christ, how did he move so quietly? Is there a problem? The doors won't open. He tilted his head. They open for employees. I'm not a fucking employee. Aren't you? Check your receipt. With shaking hands, I unfolded the paper Brenda had given me. It wasn't a receipt. It was an employee schedule. My name was at the top. Overnight shift. No call, no show will not be tolerated. That's not possible, I said. I don't work here. I've never worked here. Everyone works here eventually. Some just take longer to remember. The lights went out completely. In the darkness, I heard more footsteps, dozens of them, all shuffling toward the front of the store. My phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. Your shift started 20 years ago. Time to clock in. The emergency lighting kicked on, bathing everything in a sick red glow. The store was full of people now, employees, all in various states of decay, their Walgreens vests faded and rotting. Some were missing limbs, others had holes where their faces should be. Brenda stood up from behind the register. Half her skull was caved in, her voice gurgling. Should have warned you. Should have kept driving. They surrounded me. Cold, dead hands reaching out. The pharmacist leaned in close, his breath smelling like embalming fluid. Don't worry. After a few years, you won't even remember wanting to leave. The lights went out again. When they came back on, I was behind the register. A Walgreens vest hung loose on my shoulders. My name tag was already fading. A car pulled into the parking lot. 3:15 a.m. Some poor bastard looking for energy drinks or cigarettes. Welcome to Walgreens, I heard myself say. The words felt rehearsed, ancient, like I'd been saying them forever. The automatic doors wheezed open. I wanted to scream at him to run. Instead, I smiled and asked, "Finding everything okay?" He grabbed a Red Bull, approached my register. "That'll be $3.49. Then, fighting against every dead muscle in my body, I managed to whisper, "You should leave." "What?" $3.49, I repeated. My hand shook as I took his money. In the vitamin aisle, something shuffled. He left with his receipt, his real receipt. The doors opened for him. They always open for customers, just not for employees. Never for employees. I've been here for, I don't know how long now. Time moves different after midnight. Sometimes I think it's been days, sometimes decades. The schedule on the break room wall has dates that haven't happened yet, or happened too long ago to matter. We're always hiring at the 24-hour Walgreens that shouldn't exist. Always hiring, never leaving. And if you see a red glow through the trees some night when your GPS insists there's nothing there, keep driving. For fuck's sake, just keep driving. The night shift at Walgreens wasn't my dream job. It still paid $9.50 an hour, which was enough to cover rent on my shitty apartment and keep my '92 Corolla running. I just dropped out of community college, couldn't afford the textbooks anymore, and needed something, anything, to keep from moving back in with my parents in Akron. The store was in one of those strip malls that every American suburb has. You know the type. A Walgreens, a Subway, a nail salon, a Chinese takeout place, and 3 empty storefronts with for lease signs that have been there so long they'd faded to white. The parking lot had those sodium lights that turned everything orange and made midnight look like the world was on fire. My shift was 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., just me and Daryl, the pharmacist, who stayed locked in his little glass booth counting pills and listening to Coast AM on a small radio. He was cool, a 50-something black guy who'd been working nights for a decade and had stories about every tweaker and weirdo who ever walked through those automatic doors. Night shift at a pharmacy, you're gonna see some shit, he told me my first week. But you follow the rules, you'll be fine. Don't leave the building, don't let anyone in the back, and if something feels wrong, you call the cops first, then the manager. Got it? I got it, or thought I did. The first few months were actually kind of peaceful. After midnight, we'd maybe get 5 or 6 customers an hour, insomniacs buying NyQuil, nurses getting off shift, picking up energy drinks, the occasional drunk person trying to buy more beer. We stopped selling at 2 a.m., state law. I'd stock shelves, clean, read magazines when Daryl wasn't looking. It was boring, but it was easy money. I got to know the regulars pretty quick. There was Janet, a night shift nurse who always bought the same things: Diet Coke, Snickers, and those little 5-hour energy bottles that had just come out. She'd chat with me about her patients, always looking exhausted, but somehow still cheerful. There was college kid Mike, who'd come in around 3 a.m. reeking of weed, buying Visine and enough junk food to feed a small army. He always paid in crumpled ones and quarters, counting them out carefully on the counter. And there was Harold, an old man who never bought anything. He just walked the aisles for an hour, reading greeting cards, examining shampoo bottles, studying the nutrition facts on candy bars. Daryl said he'd been doing it for years. Lonely people don't sleep well. Sometimes they just need to be around other humans, even if they don't talk. But the regular that stuck with me, the one that still makes me check my locks at night, was Shopping Cart Lady. I never learned her real name. She'd show up maybe twice a week, always between 2 and 4 a.m., pushing one of our carts filled with stuff that wasn't from our store. Blankets, canned goods, newspapers, random electronics. She dressed in layers even in summer. Multiple coats, scarves, hats stacked on top of each other. The weird thing was that she didn't seem homeless. Her clothes were clean, her hair was styled, and she smelled like expensive perfume. She'd park her cart by the entrance and spend exactly 1 hour shopping, buying normal stuff: toothpaste, vitamins, magazines. She'd chat pleasantly about the weather, then load her purchases into her already full cart and leave. "Where does she go?" I asked Daryl once. He shrugged. "Been wondering that for 5 years. Best not to ask questions you don't want answers to." Everything changed on a Tuesday night in November. It was one of those nights where the fog rolled in thick, making the parking lot look like a sea of orange mist. Dead quiet. Even the highway sounds were muffled. Around 2:30 a.m., shopping cart lady came in, but something was different. She was agitated, kept looking over her shoulder, muttering to herself. Her cart was emptier than usual, just a few blankets and what looked like photo albums. She went straight to the pharmacy counter, which she'd never done before. She said, "I need to leave something with you," she told Daryl, pulling out a manila envelope. "Keep it safe. Don't open it. Don't give it to anyone except me." Daryl looked at me, then back at her. "Ma'am, I can't. Please," her voice cracked. "They're getting closer. I don't have much time." "Who's getting closer?" She shook her head, pressed the envelope against the glass. "Promise me. Promise you'll keep it safe." Something in her voice made Daryl nod. He took the envelope, put it in the safe under the counter. Shopping cart lady smiled, the saddest smile I'd ever seen, and headed for the door. She'd made it halfway across the parking lot when the fog lit up with headlights. A van, moving too fast, skidded to a stop next to her. Two people got out, couldn't see their faces in the fog, and there was a brief struggle. And then they were loading her cart into the van, pushing her in after it. I was already reaching for the phone when Daryl grabbed my wrist. "Don't," he said. "What? They just..." "You didn't see anything. Neither did I. Understand?" The van's taillights disappeared into the fog. We stood there in silence for a long moment. "What the fuck, Daryl?" He sighed, suddenly looking older than his years. "You know what's in that envelope?" I shook my head. "Pictures, documents, proof that some very important people did some very bad things. She's been running for years, hiding in plain sight. Coming here was her routine, her normal. But they found her." "How do you know all this?" "Because she told me. 5 years ago, when she first started coming in, showed me some of what she had, made me wish she hadn't." He looked at me. "Those people in the van, they'll be back. They'll ask if she left anything. We say no. We never saw her tonight. But you want to end up in a van too?" I didn't. They came back 3 nights later. 2 men in suits, despite it being 3 a.m. Clean-cut, polite, showing FBI badges that Daryl later told me were probably fake. "We're looking for a woman," the taller one said, showing us a photo. It was shopping cart lady, but younger, wearing a business suit. She might have been confused, disoriented, might have left something here by mistake. "Haven't seen her," Daryl said smoothly. They asked to check the security tapes. Daryl explained that our system only kept 48 hours of footage before recording over itself. "Sorry." They asked to search the store. Daryl asked if they had a warrant. They smiled. Not friendly smiles, and left. "They'll be watching now," Daryl told me after they'd gone. "Different cars, different people, but they'll be watching, waiting to see if she comes back." She didn't come back. Not the next week or the next month. The envelope sat in the pharmacy safe like a bomb waiting to go off. I'd catch Daryl staring at it sometimes, debating. Then, just before Christmas, I came in for my shift to find a new pharmacist. Young guy, nervous, said Daryl had quit suddenly. Family emergency, no forwarding information. I knew it was bullshit. Daryl didn't have family, he'd told me that. But I also knew better than to ask questions. I worked there another 6 months. Never saw a shopping cart lady again. Never saw the men in suits. The new pharmacist was friendly enough, but didn't like to chat. The night shift got lonelier. I finally quit when I got a job at a call center. Day shift, better pay, no mysterious disappearances. My last night, I was cleaning out the break room when I found something taped under the table. A key and a note in Daryl's handwriting. Storage Unit 47, public storage on Riverside. Paid up for 10 years. Some things need to stay hidden until the world's ready, or until someone brave enough comes along. D. I kept that key for 3 years, carried it on my keychain, a constant reminder of that foggy night. Finally, curiosity won. I drove to the storage place, found Unit 47, opened it. Empty. Completely empty. Except for another note. Smart choice waiting. They watched this place for 2 years. The real unit is 74. Dyslexia is a bitch. Everything's there. Do what you think is right. And remember, some truths are worth dying for, but not all of them. Choose wisely. D. P.S. She's okay. Different name, different city, still pushing that cart. Some habits keep us human. I stood there for a long time holding that note, key to Unit 74 burning in my hand. Whatever was in that unit, it had cost shopping cart lady her identity, maybe her sanity. It had made Daryl disappear. It had brought fake FBI agents to a Walgreens at 3 a.m. I locked Unit 47, drove home, and threw both keys in the river. Some people might call me a coward. Maybe I am. But I've got a family now. Wife, 2 kids, a mortgage on a house in the suburbs. I work IT at a hospital, 9 to 5, home for dinner every night. Normal life. Safe life. But sometimes, when I can't sleep, I think about shopping cart lady. Wonder what truth was so dangerous that she had to hide it in photo albums and manila envelopes. Wonder if Daryl ever looked at what was in that storage unit, or if he was smarter than that. And sometimes, when I'm driving home late and I pass a Walgreens, I see someone pushing a shopping cart through the parking lot, and my heart stops. But it's never her. Just another night wanderer, another lonely soul looking for light in the darkness. I never work night shift again. Never shop at 24-hour stores. Never ask questions about people who disappear. Because Daryl was right about one thing. Some questions you don't want the answers to. Some truths aren't worth the cost of knowing them. But on foggy nights, when the world looks like it's on fire under those orange sodium lights, I remember. I remember shopping cart lady's sad smile. I remember the van pulling away. I remember the weight of that key in my hand. And I wonder if I made the right choice. I wonder if somewhere out there, in another strip mall in another city, she's still pushing that cart, still running, still carrying secrets that powerful people would kill to keep buried. I hope she is. I hope she found peace. But I know better than to go looking. Because the night shift taught me one thing above all else. The real monsters don't hide in the dark. They wear suits and show badges and smile politely while they make people disappear. They watch and wait and never stop hunting. And sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is forget what you've seen. Sometimes, the smartest thing you can do is throw away the key.
The photo counter. I started working at Walgreens in the summer of 2003, right after high school. Not the same Walgreens from my last story. This was in Tempe, Arizona, and I worked days at the photo counter. Remember those? Back when people still used film cameras and had to wait an hour to see if their vacation photos turned out like shit? The job was mindless, but perfect for an 18-year-old saving up for college. I'd take in rolls of film, write up the orders, run the big Fuji developing machine, and hand back envelopes full of memories. Birthday parties, graduations, family reunions. I saw it all. Well, more than I wanted to see, honestly. You'd be amazed how many people forgot about the dirty photos they took until they're standing at my counter flipping through their prints with their kids next to them. My manager, Brenda, was this tough woman in her 50s who'd been with Walgreens since the 80s. She trained me on my first day, showing me how to work the processor, how to handle difficult customers, and most importantly, the rules about what we couldn't develop. Anything illegal, you stop the order and call me, she said. Child porn, obviously. Extreme violence, dead bodies that don't look like they died naturally. Use your judgment, but when in doubt, don't print it out. I laughed. Does that really happen? She gave me a look that said I had no idea what I was in for. The first few weeks were normal. Lots of tourist photos. The Grand Canyon, Sedona Red Rocks, cactuses. So many fucking cactuses. Old ladies with their grandkids, teenagers making duck faces before duck faces were a thing. The occasional boudoir shoot that made me blush but wasn't technically against policy. Then, Mr. Garrison started coming in. He was maybe 60, always wore the same outfit, khaki shorts, white polo, baseball cap pulled low. Completely unremarkable, except for how nervous he was. Hands shaking as he filled out the order form, sweating even in our air-conditioned store. His first role was landscapes. Boring stuff. Empty desert, abandoned buildings, long stretches of highway. But there was something off about them. They were all taken at weird angles, like he was hiding behind something. And in the corner of some shots, you could see the edge of a car's interior, like he'd taken them from inside a vehicle. Nice landscapes, I said, when he picked them up, trying to be friendly. He grabbed the envelope without looking at the photos. Yeah, hobby of mine. Then he left so fast he forgot his change. He came back the next week. Same nervous energy, same shaky hands. This role was different. Still landscapes, but now there were people in the distance. Always far away, always unaware they were being photographed. Hikers on trails, families at rest stops, kids playing in parks. I started paying closer attention. Week 3, the people were closer. Clear enough to make out faces. A woman jogging, a teenager walking a dog, an old man checking his mail, still taken from inside a car based on the window glare in some shots. I showed Brenda. She frowned, flipped through them twice. It's creepy, but not illegal, she said. He's in public spaces, no kids in compromising positions, nothing explicitly threatening. We can't refuse service just because someone's a weirdo. But I started dreading Tuesdays when Mr. Garrison would shuffle in with his film. The photos kept getting more invasive. The same people appearing in multiple shots, following them from place to place. A woman grocery shopping, then at her car, then arriving at her house. A teenage boy at school, at soccer practice, getting into his mom's minivan. He was stalking people, multiple people, and I was developing the evidence. Week 6 changed everything. The role started normal, his usual creep shots of strangers. Then halfway through, the photos changed. Night shots now, through windows. People in their homes, watching TV, eating dinner, getting ready for bed. all taken from outside, through gaps in curtains or blinds. My hands were shaking as I printed them. This was it. This was illegal, had to be. But then I got to the last 5 photos on the roll, and my blood went cold. They were of me. Me at my register, taken from the vitamin aisle. Me on my lunch break in the parking lot, eating a sandwich in my car. Me walking to my apartment complex after work. Me through my bedroom window, changing out of my uniform. The last photo was taken from inside my apartment. I was asleep on my couch, TV still on, one arm hanging off the side. You could see my work vest draped over a chair, my purse on the coffee table, the spare key I kept under a decorative rock by my door sitting on my kitchen counter. He'd been in my fucking apartment. I ran to the bathroom and threw up. Then I called Brenda, then the police, then my mom. I sat in the break room with a cop while they pulled Mr. Garrison's information from our system. Fake name, fake address, paid in cash every time. They dusted the photos for prints, found mine and smudges that could have been anyone's. Checked the security footage, but he always wore that hat low, face turned away from cameras, like he knew where every single one was positioned. Change your locks, the cop told me. Stay with someone for a while. We'll increase patrols in your area. That was it. That was all they could do. I quit that day. Didn't even finish my shift, just grabbed my stuff and left. Moved back with my parents, changed my phone number, deleted my barely used MySpace account. But I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Because here's the thing about film photography. You never know how many copies exist. He could have printed those photos anywhere, could have negatives stashed away, could have shared them with other creeps online. I found a job at a call center, one of those soul-crushing places where you're just employee number 4847. But at least no one could find me there. At least I didn't have to handle other people's memories, wondering what secrets they held. 6 months later, Brenda called me. They'd caught him. Not Mr. Garrison, that was an alias, but Richard Henley, 62, retired insurance adjuster. They found him the way they always find these guys. He escalated, broke into the wrong house. The woman had a gun, shot him in the shoulder, and he was arrested, fleeing the scene.
When they searched his house, they found thousands of photos, hundreds of victims spanning 15 years, all developed at various photo centers around Phoenix. He'd kept them organized in filing cabinets, labeled with names and addresses he'd somehow figured out. They found my file. 67 photos, including ones I'd never seen, ones he must have developed elsewhere. Photos going back 2 months before he'd ever walked into my Walgreens. He'd been watching me long before I'd ever noticed him. At the trial, they asked me to testify. I sat in that courtroom, looking at the back of his head. He'd gotten a haircut, wore a suit, looked like somebody's grandfather. When they showed my photos as evidence, blown up on a screen for the jury to see, I felt naked, violated all over again. He got 15 years. Would have been more, but his lawyer argued the photos taken in public weren't illegal, just unusual hobby documentation. Only the break-ins counted as serious crimes. He'll be out in 2018 with good behavior. I still work at call centers, bounced around between them over the years. They're always hiring, always losing people to burnout. It's shit work, but it's safe.
Anonymous. No one takes photos of call center employees. But sometimes I wonder about all those other photo counters. All those other employees developing film for strangers, seeing glimpses of lives they'll never fully understand. How many of them have printed evidence of crimes without knowing it? How many have handed over envelopes full of darkness and smiled and said, "Have a nice day"? Digital cameras killed the photo counter business by 2008. Everyone's got a camera phone now, upload straight to Facebook or whatever. No more film, no more waiting, no more strangers handling your memories. Part of me is glad. Let people keep their own secrets. Let them deal with their own darkness. But part of me wonders if we lost something. That human checkpoint between impulse and image. That moment where someone else might see what you're doing and say, "This isn't right. This stops here." Because Mr. Garrison, Richard Henley, he's not unique. There are thousands like him, tens of thousands. And now they don't need photo counters, don't need to risk human interaction. They just point, shoot, upload, share. Invisible, unstoppable. Technology's great, right? Convenience, privacy, freedom. But I can't help thinking about all those photos in his filing cabinets. All those victims who never knew they were being watched. All those lives cataloged by a stranger's obsession. And I can't help checking my windows, still, 20 years later. Because film is dead, but the creeps just evolved. They got smarter, quieter, harder to catch. And sometimes, late at night when I can't sleep, I wonder if someone's out there right now, standing in the darkness, pointing a camera at my window, capturing me without my knowledge, adding me to some digital filing cabinet I'll never know exists. The photo counter is gone, but the watchers remain. They always remain.
If you enjoy any of these stories, please leave a like so the algorithm can share this to more like us, and subscribe for more stories like this. If you dare.